What's going on, traders? It's Trader Timbo back here with another video. I know it's been a while since I've made one, so I wanted to hop on and kind of show you guys what I'm doing right now. So I've been in a slump the last couple months. I haven't had a payout since early December, so it's been like 2.5 months now since my last payout. So I'm just trying to get back to like good habits right now because I've been focusing way too much on basically the money and payouts and forcing things, and it just has been a bit of a rough go since December. So I'm doing this 30-day discipline challenge, right, where the main focus is just on getting back to good habits instead of just focusing on the money, right? Because whenever I focus on the money, that's when I screw up. If you're bound by, every trade outcome, if it's a loss, you're going to be emotional. And if it's a win, you're going to be excited, right? But the issue with that is losses, like the emotions that you feel from losses are twice as strong as the emotions you feel from winning. So basically, if you take like a $200 loss versus a $200 win, the emotions on that loss are going to be twice as strong as the emotions you feel from a winning trade. So that's what makes trading, I think, so hard. Is obviously there's a lot of emotions tied to it. When your capital's on the line. So if you grade yourself, or if that's like your main focus is on trying to make money, you're just going to be a roller coaster of emotions, and that's kind of what I've been kind of stuck in lately, right? And that's kind of where I think a lot of traders get stuck in, that when they first start out. You obviously you want to win when you're trading, but if you focus, too much on just making money and you don't focus on the things that actually lead to consistent profits over the long term, you're going to get stuck in the land of basically just, like I said, the emotional ups and downs, being emotional, being upset about taking losses, which leads to revenge trading, taking too many trades, and basically just not paying any attention to your rules, if you even have rules, and just trading to try to make money back when you lose. And it always ends with blowing accounts, right? So that's where I lived for years. And then in the second half of 2025, I started to see a little bit more consistency. I did like a 90-day lock-in, you could call it. And I tried to just focus just on good habits, and I sized down to only buying, I think I started with 3 evals. And I said I wasn't going to buy anymore until I passed them and got a payout, and then I would buy more. And I just focused on good rules, or following my rules well, and just good habits for basically, for a few months. And I ended up like trading really well. I was able to grow from like 3 accounts up to, I had over 20 accounts at one point. And things just started to click for me. But that was because I shifted my focus from like trying to make money, trying to, pass evals quickly to try to get a payout. Like the faster you go with trying to get a payout to trying to pass, like the faster you're going to fall and the more pain you're going to have. So I did that for years before I finally, like I said, in the second half of 2025, I started to have some success with it. So right now, since I've been in a slump the last couple of months here, I'm trying to do a 30-day discipline challenge here where I get back to just focusing back on good habits and, try not to focus on the money, right? The money is just a byproduct of doing things the right way, over the long term. So here's kind of the outline of what I'm going to be doing here for the next 30 days. And honestly, this is something just to do really for forever with trading, right? Like have a trading plan, have rules, and literally like your only goal in trading is to follow your rules and follow your process. Like, that's how you get consistent results. So here's my kind of outline for this. So for trading, so this is how I'm going to do it. So I have a trade checklist that I use for every trade. So every trade needs to have all these things aligned in order for me to take a trade. So that's the goal. So that's my one focus before I take a trade. I need a key level. I need the EMA trend aligned. I need a pullback or a pause, and then I need like a reversal or a continuation back with the trend. So that's like my checklist. You can obviously use whatever pertains to you if you're going to do something like this, which I highly recommend. And then the other thing is having a max loss per trade. So I'm doing $200 per trade max. So for 2 micros on MNQ, it's 50 points. And then if I use 3 micros, it's 33 points. So I'll use a max of 2 or 3 on each trade to start out. And then max daily loss will be $400. So that's been a tough one for me over the years is being able to obey that max daily loss, right? I think a lot of that ties to this one right here, taking time between trades. Because when you take a loss, a lot of times you want to make it right back, right? And I've fallen into that trap for a lot of years. You take the loss, you're emotional, and because you're focusing again on the money instead of just focusing on like, did I go through my checklist? Did I take a good trade, right? Because that's all that really matters in the long run is, did you use your checklist for each trade? Like, was it an A+ setup? If it was, then it's a win as long as you use proper size, right? And did things the right way. But grading yourself based on whether or not the trade lost or won is the emotional roller coaster way to trade and to operate. So, getting to the point of basically grading yourself based on this stuff instead of whether or not the trade won or lost, like that's the way to be consistent and to win in the long term, right? Because we don't know what trades are going to win or lose. So like, there's no point in getting upset over a loss, right? Because you're going to have losing trades, right? It's just a part of trading. Like it's a long-term probabilities game, right? So, over the long term, as long as if you have an edge and you follow your edge, like use proper sizing, risk properly, right? Obey your max loss per trade, obey your max daily loss. Like over the long term, you should have a positive result, right? If you do that. So that's like the whole point of this. So yeah, max daily loss, like knowing that if it's not your day, you just walk away, right? Like if you take a couple losses, like maybe the market's not good, or maybe you're just not seeing the market well that day, like walk away before it gets out of hand, right? And like I said, like taking time between trades, like if you take one loss, that's why I have this in here, because I need to take time to reset, to refocus, and like realize like, hey, it's just one losing trade, no big deal. As long as I followed my plan and my process, like it's a part of the long-term plan, right? And then you reset and you go back to the top again for the next trade, right? As long as you're within the max daily loss, right? So moving on. So the next one is only adding to winning trades. So that's something that I try to stick to, not adding to losing trades. If you're in a losing trade, it's already showing you that it's not working. So why would you want to add size to that, right? It just doesn't make sense. So, and then 10 minutes between trades, which I already talked about. So just kind of like taking that time to reset between trades instead of like trying to jump right back in to either make, money back or to try to, make another winning trade if you already had a winner. Kind of take that time between trades to slow it down and get back to the top of your process, go back to your checklist and make sure you're taking high quality setups only. So over trading and oversizing are kind of the two things that kill most traders, right? So this is kind of like a filter to slow you down, make sure you're getting back to your process, using a checklist, right? Making sure everything's aligned for the trade, and then only taking the trade if that's all aligned. So, taking that time between trades helps you to kind of reset. If you're feeling a little emotional, like take a walk, do whatever you got to do. And the next one here is 3 trades max per day. So the other one I talked about that kills traders was the over trading. So if you only take, a few setups per day, that kind of helps you to stay, within only taking A+ setups, right? So there's only so many good setups per session, right? Some days there's a handful, some days there's only 1 or 2. It just depends on the day. But for the most part, if you look at like a 5-minute chart, 15-minute chart, like there's really only a few good setups, each session, you could say, in the morning time. And that's when I'm trading. So, limiting that to 3 setups, 3 trades max per day, I think is a good way for me to kind of limit myself to only taking those quality setups and not like wasting any tries on, less than optimal setups. So, and the last thing for me on the rules is just no entries after 1 p.m. I know when I keep trading beyond 1 p.m. Eastern time, like I'm not that great. Like I'll start giving back profits if I'm up, or I'll dig a bigger hole if I'm down on the day. So it's just a rule I have to stop myself from overdoing it on the day. And then another, I guess, set of habits or rules that I'm going to try to stick to is there's just kind of non-trading habits here. So like before the trading day, doing a morning meditation, visualization, just kind of like going through, just like visualizing, getting myself calm and like seeing what I want to see happen for the day as far as like my trading goes and any other parts of the day that I want to visualize. Like visualize those things going right, visualize myself following this process. I think it's really powerful to do that before your day to kind of get yourself in that energy of being a trader that follows his rules and follows his system. And then after trading, making sure to hit the gym, or for me, I like to go on hikes or go rollerblading. So at least doing one of those 2 things during the week. And then Master Co, prosperity, emotional healing, lessons, and meditations. So if you look up Master Co on YouTube, he has some really good videos basically on kind of like healing any emotions, any like blockages that you could have for like prosperity. I should do another video on him just separately, but I like to do those every day if I'm able to. Look him up on YouTube, just search Master Co prosperity meditation or emotional meditation, and he always does like a lesson before the video, and then you do, before the meditation, and then you do a quick, it's usually a 15-20 minute meditation. But it's really, really good for just like resetting, like especially if you've been emotional, if you had like a tough day, it just like helps you to kind of like clear things out and get you back into like a calm level state, which is obviously really important for trading. And then the next thing I'm doing is, so when I had that really good streak in the second half of 2025, I started doing these meditations and I started reading this book, The Magic. And I mentioned this in a Twitter post about these 2 things as well. So I'm getting back to reading this book, The Magic, and it has, it's basically about gratitude and like, basically getting in a good energy again, right? Thinking about the things that you're grateful for. And, each chapter is like pretty short. It's like usually around 5 pages, and there's a journal prompt at the end of it. So I'm going to do that. There's one, I think it's like a 28-day thing. So I'm going to do that for like the next month here. So I'm reading one chapter of that and doing the journaling after it. And then that kind of is the same thing here. So I'm going to do, a part of the book is every day you do 10 gratitudes that you write down in your journal. So I'm going to do that. And then whatever else, there's like one lesson each day that you also do like some extra stuff with. And then I'll also do like I'll write down 10 affirmations that have to do with trading or life in general as well. And then every day I'm going to come on YouTube here and just like review my trades and just show, whether or not, I followed all my rules, followed all these habits that I'm trying to follow, and just kind of like keep myself accountable. So yeah, that's the plan for the next next month or so. So if you guys want to do something similar, I highly encourage it. Like I said, like when I finally started like slowing things down and like focusing just on good habits, over the summer, that's when things really started to turn around for me. I actually started doing like less. I started to trade less, started to trade just better setups, started using less size, started to not try to buy 20 evals at one time. I would just buy, like I said, I started with 3, and then I would add like 3 after I would get a payout. Then I would add a few more until I got up to like over 20. So the key is just really slow things down and kind of take it slow. And like I said, recently, the last couple of months, I think I got caught kind of back in the old habit of focusing on the money, trying to do things too quickly, trying to rush things, right? Instead of just trusting, right, the process of doing things the right way and knowing that, like, if you have an edge and you have a good system, like, why would you ever try to, number one, trade outside of that? And why would you ever try to risk too much on any given trade? Like, if you know that over the long term, if you stick to your edge, like, why would you ever want to risk too much for any trade, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense, because you risk like blowing up your account. Like, when you know that if you were just to stick to your normal risk and risk small in each trade, you're going to end up winning in the long term. So it's like letting go of that instant gratification of trying to pass evals quickly, trying to get a payout quickly. Like, those are the traps that actually make it take longer to actually find success in your trading. So like slowing things down, like using a checklist before every trade so that you only take high quality setups, like risking small per trade. I mean, you could even, I'm doing this on 50K accounts. So I have 3 evals right now with Lucid. And today was actually the first day that I traded on 2 of the 3. I had one before, but I made like $140 on each account today. So I'm just starting out small, right? Starting with 3. And I mean, you can start with 1, right? I actually recommend starting with just 1 if you're still, trying to get to a payout. Don't be trying to buy, 20 evals at a time when there's a sale and going crazy. Like, commit to like the long-term process of doing things the right way and slowing it down. And that's honestly when you will start to see more success, when you're able to follow your rules, size it small, go for quality over quantity, and just let the long-term, trades, play out. Don't get hung up on taking a loss. It's a part of trading. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but like once you're able to get to that point of like not forcing things and not being like desperate to get a payout, I think that's when you like start to see things start to shift. Because like the more that you try to chase money, the more like you're desperate for it, like the harder it's going to be to get it. It's just going to keep getting farther and farther away. It's like the same thing. Like if you're trying to attract like a partner, like no one's going to be attracted to you if you're like desperate for them, like constantly obsessed, like, like that's just how it is. Like if you're desperate, like that's not attractive. Like it's the same thing with money. Like if you're desperate for money, like if you're trying to force things, like money is it's gonna get away from you. So you just have to be calm and confident in what you're doing and trust in the long term and do things the right way. And that's what I'm trying to get back to right now. Like I said, I've fallen back into the trap of like trying to do things too quickly, like buying too many evals at one time again. Like that's why I've had to slow it down now back to just buying a few at a time and just get back to doing these good habits. So that's why I'm doing this, and I think it can be really helpful for you guys too if you want to do the same thing. So over the next 30 days, next month or so, today is February 16th. So today was actually day 1 of it, and I took one trade, and I'll actually show my trade. Okay, so you can see here's the trade I took today. Today was the President's Day, so a little bit lighter volume, obviously. So I really wasn't even sure I was going to be trading today, so I was just kind of being patient to see how it was looking. But we had this move down into this is the previous day low zone on NASDAQ, and we bounced up. This is the 15-minute chart, by the way. This is kind of what I based my trade on today. So we bounced off it and then moved back up to the 90 EMA on the 15-minute chart. So I took a short here after we had this kind of nice inverted hammer print. And we kind of wicked up on the next candle, and then we dropped down back below it, and that's when I took the short. I scaled out one here, and then I trailed out one here. And then that was it for me for today. So that was the day one trade for the challenge. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take less trades and just take high quality. You can also see, I was also looking at the 2-minute and the 5-minute when I took this. You could see it kind of had this little, somewhat of like a hammer here, rejection wick, and I put my stop basically above this high here when I entered. So it was a pretty tight stop. And then scaled out some here and then trailed out right here. So, and just to show you guys my, the accounts that I have. So here's the 3 accounts I'm going to be using for this challenge for the next 30 days. And then if I end up passing these, then I'll just start trading funded accounts. So, yeah, but that was it for today. So that was day one, and I'm going to be doing this, like I said, for the next month or so. So each day I'm going to go over, whether or not I followed all my rules and my habits, and go from there. So today I did use the checklist on this. So just to go back to it, what I was looking at was, so in the pre-market, we kind of had this rejection near the 200 EMA on the 15-minute chart. So for my checklist, I always want to see like a key level. So for me, it was kind of near that previous day high zone and the 200 EMA. So that was kind of like my key level. It was like we had that good move down, away from this 200 EMA, kind of this move down. So that was like the first thing on my checklist. And then second thing, the EMA trend line. So the EMAs were in a bearish lineup. So we had the 200 here, the 50 here, and then the 9 EMA here on the 15-minute chart. So like overall, looking at like the 15-minute chart with the 200 EMA, like in general, for me, like for intraday stuff, like being underneath the 200 EMA is mostly bearish, right? So even though we had this move up out of the previous day low zone, we're still bearish on the EMA. So like I wasn't looking for a long, right, at this point. So once we saw this rejection here, that's when I took the trade, obviously, and kind of back to the checklist here. So we had the key level thesis was the 200 EMA, kind of the move down, and then we had the EMA, like I said, the trend was aligned to the downside, and then we had that pullback to the 15-minute 9 EMA right here, right? So that's a pullback, and then the reversal continuation. So the reversal basically after that push up was this, this inverted hammer here right off the 9 EMA, and that showed that like the downward momentum was going to possibly continue. So that's why I took the trade. So, yeah, that was day one here. So I'm going to update, every day, and I might even do, I've been doing a little bit of live trading on YouTube as well lately. So if you guys want, you can come check me out on there during the New York session from, 9:30 to, 1 at the very latest, is when I would be on there. But I'm going to start doing more live streams every day. I don't know if I'm going to do them every day this week, but I'm going to be doing them in the future. So if you want to kind of be notified when I go on, just hit the subscribe button right now. And then obviously if you can like this video, I would appreciate it. And then also, guys, I have an affiliate code with Apex and Lucid. So if you guys want to buy evals with them, use the code Timbo. If you found some value in any of my content, if it helps you guys out, I really appreciate it. And again, guys, if you're not profitable yet, like, don't buy more than like a couple evals at a time. Like, I would honestly just buy one at a time and just focus on this stuff, right? Like, focus on the good habits and doing things the right way. And then like once you like pass an eval and then you get funded, then maybe you can think about scaling once you start getting some payouts. But like, use the prop firms as a way to build these good habits and do things the right way and build that confidence in yourself and your system. And then once you get to the point of getting payouts, then you can kind of reinvest that money back into, buying more evals and then looking to scale up. And then obviously at that point, like once you have the confidence and the skills, then you can start to get some pretty good payouts once you have multiple accounts. So, but just don't buy a bunch at one time like I used to do and full port them and try to pass them quickly, because it just creates bad habits. Because you can pass evals quickly, but then once you get to the funded accounts, it's like what are you going to do once you have a funded account? You're going to do the same thing? You're probably going to lose the account. So do things the right way, like slow it down. Don't buy more than, a couple at a time if you're not profitable yet, and just focus on doing things the right way. It's much cheaper to buy an eval and work on your habits that way than to put like, a few $1,000 into a live futures account, which I've done many times. And every time I've done that, I've blown all the money. So I could have bought a lot more evals and lasted a lot longer, buying evals and using them instead of like depositing money from my bank account into like a live trading account and then just blowing it. Because at least, if you blow an eval, you only lost the cost of the eval, which is, usually under $100. It could be even like $20 if they have like a really good sale with Apex. So just take it slow, guys. Don't rush it. And honestly, use prop firms as a way to build those skills and those habits for a very cheap price compared to putting your own capital on the line. I think it's good to at least have something on the line, because if you just trade straight up sim without any capital on the line, then you're not going to get like that emotional exposure. That's really, really like the hardest part of trading is, focusing on like, your process and all this stuff versus like focusing on whether or not you won the trade and getting emotional about it. Like, that's like the big shift I think that has to happen for traders, is shifting from thinking about the money, being emotional, about wins and losses, and shifting it to, all right, like, did I follow my plan for the day, for every trade? Like, did I go through, use my checklist for each trade? Did I obey my max, loss? Did I obey my max daily loss? Right? Did I do all these habits that are good for my long-term sustainability and success, right? Like, that's the shift you have to make. Like, grade yourself based on this stuff, right? Like, even if you follow this and you take a loss, like, you should be celebrating that because you followed your plan, right? You kept your risk like within your risk parameters and you did things the right way. Like, losses are a part of trading, right? Like, we don't know what trades are going to win and what trades are going to lose. It's a long-term thing, right? There's going to be losses. There's going to be wins. Obviously, yeah, you want to win more than you lose, and you want to win. Obviously, everyone wants to win every trade, but it's just not realistic. So you have to get yourself to the point of like shifting to this and saying like, hey, like, I know I'm going to have wins and losses over the long term. The main thing that I need to focus on is taking these high quality setups by using your checklist, right? And then like managing the risk, like not losing too much on any given trade, and then not giving up too much on any given day either. So like being able to stop when you're down is probably the hardest part of trading for me. So like that's a big focus for me, is obeying that max daily loss. Just because it's, once you go beyond like your emotional threshold with it, then you just go into revenge mode, and then everything goes out the window and you're just trading like a maniac and full porting trying to make everything back. So I've done it many times. Like I've made all the mistakes of oversizing, over trading, revenge trading, like chasing, like everything. Like I've done it all. And I can tell you that doing this stuff, slowing it down, you think you're doing it, you think it's a slow way doing it, but it's actually the fast way. Like slowing down and doing things the right way is the fast way of doing things, right? Because if you try to do it too quick, you're just going to keep falling on your face. So slow things down, guys. And, hopefully this video helped you guys out. So, get back to, or get in the focus of good habits instead of just getting hung up on every single trade outcome, right? Like as long as you follow your plan and your process each day, follow your rules, like that's where you're going to get the long-term success, right? Long-term, right? We don't like, if you can give up that short-term instant gratification, right? Of trying to get payouts quick, like, and just slow things down, like that is the actual key to success with trading. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. It's already getting looks like over 30 minutes. So anyone who stayed till the end, I appreciate you. Like I said, if you guys want to use my code with Apex or Lucid, I really appreciate it. I also like using my other two that I really like are Tradeify and Take Profit. I don't have codes with them, but great firms as well. So those are kind of the four that I've been mostly sticking to. So, all right, guys, hope you guys all had a good day today. And like I said, if you guys want to stop by in my live streams, like I'm not there to like entertain or do any of that crap. Like I'm just literally going to be trading and just following my system and just trying to be disciplined. And obviously I like to have a little bit of fun with it too, but the main thing is just focusing on this and doing things the right way. So, like I said, I'll probably be on YouTube live at least a few days this week, I would think, and into next week. So, but I'm going to make sure to make, the YouTube review video after each trading day for the next month or so here. So, all right, guys, I'll see you on the next one tomorrow after the trading day. I'll make another video. So, all right, guys, have a good night. See ya.